Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, and we will share the screen here. So we're going to do the one you missed. I'll explain why in a minute. Our first topic, Hindu Tools for Success. Part 5. So this is the last part. I didn't want you to miss it. So we're doing it a week late here. Our sixth and last tool is the tool of steadfastness. It is the sixth of the 10 basic restraints called yamas. Yamas are presented in what is Hinduism's chapter 42, and also Living with Shiva and Yoga's Forgotten Foundation. Sanskrit term for steadfastness, driti. Meaning is foster steadfastness, overcoming non-perseverance, fear, indecision, and changeableness. The instinctive quality we are harnessing is the tendency not to stick to what we start. A common example we are all familiar with is trying to cure a physical problem. We suffer from chronic back pain. We go to a physical therapist and he gives us some exercises to do. We do them for 1 month, then stop. A few months later we go to an Ayurvedic doctor and he suggests some herbs. We manage to take these for 2 months before stopping. 6 months later, we go to another physician, and he suggests a still different remedy. You get the idea. Of course, the man still has the back pain. No progress has been made due to lack of steadfastness. This happens in Hinduism as well. We visit one Swami, and he suggests we chant a mantra. We do this for a few months and stop. We visit another Swami a year later and he suggests meditating on the inner light. We do this for a while and stop. This, of course, produces no tangible progress in our spiritual life due to lack of perseverance. And Gurudeva comments, the spiritual path is a long, enduring process. It does not reach fruition in a year or 2 years. The spiritual path brings lots of ups and downs, and the greatest challenges will come to the greatest souls. With this in mind, it becomes clear that steadiness and perseverance are absolutely essential on the spiritual path. Tirukara has a chapter on the subject entitled Perseverance, chapter 62. Verse 612 gives a useful perspective on the importance of perseverance. Beware of leaving any work undone, remembering that the world abandons those who abandon their work unfinished. The choral chapter also states that perseverance creates prosperity, the ability to overcome misfortune and to be generous and charitable. It also states that lack of perseverance brings shame, abandonment, and misfortune. Oh, moving on. Related idea. What does Gurudeva say is the key to the conquest of karma? Consistency is the key to the conquest of karma. And another question, what are some of the common reasons for non-perseverance? Why do we start something and then stop it? A common reason for not persevering with an undertaking is that the original decision was an emotional whim rather than a well-thought-through plan. Example: we have lunch with a colleague at work who shares with us how he purchased a second home and is renting it out and earning excellent extra income, enough to take his family on pilgrimage to India last month. You think this idea is great, and wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to take your family on pilgrimage to India as well? You immediately purchase a second home and rent it out. After a year, you realize the price you paid was too high and you are earning less than the cost of the home. And the enterprise is actually lowering your savings for the pilgrimage rather than increasing it. Therefore, you have to sell the house and incur a loss. What went wrong? The initial decision was flawed, as it was based on a passing emotion rather than a well-conceived plan. This problem can be avoided by taking time to make decisions, carefully gather all the facts, talk in person to others who are successful at the enterprise, share all this information with family and friends, pray to Lord Ganesha for guidance, and put all this information in a detailed plan, and, if you have a guru, ask for your preceptor's blessings on the plan. A second reason for lacking steadfastness is that we embark on the endeavor without a clear purpose. For example, our best friend starts to study Bharatanatyam, so we start as well. After 5 months, we conclude this is too much work and give it up. Our reason for pursuing it was not solid enough. The fact that our best friend took it up. To stick to an undertaking, we need for it to be meaningful to us, not to someone else. So clear purpose. Third reason for not sticking to a plan of action is the problem of changeableness. Changeableness means indecision, not being decisive. How can we discriminate between this and the strength of a person who changes his or her mind and wisdom because of changes of circumstance? A person who is changeable is fickle and unsure of himself, changing without purpose or reason. Dhritti, steadfastness, describes a mind that is willing to change for mature reasons based on new information, but holds steady to its determinations through thick and thin in the absence of such good reasons. Its decisions are based on wise discrimination. Having made a solid decision in the first place, only reconsider it in light of new information. So that's the logic there. Having made a solid decision in the first place, only reconsider it in light of new information. Fourth reason for not persevering is not using enough willpower. One of Gurudeva's Nandinada Sutras states, Shiva's devotees, by remaining steadfast on the path, holding the yamas and niyamas and relying on their indomitable will, move the forces of the world and are not moved or affected by them. What does Gurudeva mean by an indomitable will? Willpower is channeling the rarefied energies of the body, of awareness itself, into attention and concentration upon everything that we do through the day. Oh, that's really good. I'll read that again. Willpower is channeling the rarefied energies of the body, of awareness itself, into attention and concentration upon everything that we do through the day. How can this be cultivated? Gurudeva gives us the key in merging with Shiva. Willpower can be cultivated by finishing and doing well every task that we undertake. In fact, done a little better than our expectations. First, finish each task. Second, do it well. Nothing is done with half our mind thinking about something else. Nothing is dropped in the middle. Developing these two important habits produces an indomitable willpower. So, to repeat this important point, finish each task. Second, do it well. Developing these two important habits produces an indomitable willpower. Very practical. Fifth reason for not persevering is setting the goal too high. Therefore, we do not achieve it in a reasonable period of time and give up. Here's an example. Sincere seeker sets the goal of realizing the self in 3 years. First year practicing charya, second year focusing on kriya, and third year mastering yoga. At the end of the third year, he will become a jnani through self-realization. This, of course, is not realistic. Such an approach can cause the seeker to give up the spiritual path altogether. Therefore, be sure to be realistic in the goals you set. Be sure to ask others knowledgeable in that field if your goal is realistic before you finalize the goal. Our sixth and last reason, long list of reasons, for not persevering is encountering obstacles. There is a false concept held by some that if my endeavor encounters an obstacle, then Lord Ganesha is telling me what I am pursuing is not the right course of action. I should stop trying and rethink the entire project. Gurudeva's teaching is that the more ambitious a project is, the more obstacles will be encountered. Therefore, if your goal is an ambitious one, before you even start, anticipate encountering significant obstacles. And when you do, you will already expecting them and therefore are not discouraged. So, for example, with Yerevan Temple, a really big project for our small monastery in Hawaii, we hit major obstacles a number of times, but we didn't give up. We worked through them. And, question to you, what is the Naninada Sutra that covers many of the points we have looked at? It talks about purpose, plan, Shiva's devotees approach each enterprise with deliberate thoughtfulness and act only after careful consideration. They succeed in every undertaking by having a clear purpose, a wise plan, persistence, and push. Push is the willpower. And we have a story about Vastu, traditional Hindu architecture. There we have our Silpis here when they were putting together the main sanctum. Hard to imagine Yerevan Temple without the main sanctum. It was a big challenge to get it all to fit together. So a new trend in Hindu communities, this is new in terms of 2009, is the widespread, one could even say faddish, application of the principles of the ancient Hindu science of Vastu to the design of businesses and homes. Vastu has always been used in the construction of Hindu temples and in village home design. In theory, the wide use of Vastu in the Hindu community and beyond should be a positive development. Vastu unfolds the scientific principles and models of spiritual art and architecture to yield a harmonious flow of energy in the physical environment, giving rise to good health, wealth, intelligence, happiness, and attunement with the wider universe. Following Vastu principles of design can certainly make businesses more successful and homes more harmonious. However, the problematic trend is to emphasize it, meaning Vastu, above all else, thinking that the sole cause of obstacles and lack of success is the flawed layout of one's home or office. For example, the sales of a business drop precipitously, and a Vastu expert is consulted. He asserts that the cause is the poor layout of the space and advises, rebuild the structure according to my Vastu design, and your problems will quickly disappear. We know of some Hindus who have received such advice over the last few years, some who inadvisedly spent large sums of money taking down and rebuilding parts of their home or office, or moving to a new location in anticipation that this would solve all their problems. The truth is that in most cases it did not. Designing of one's home and business spaces according to Vastu principles is an excellent goal. When asked, we encourage Hindus to have their new home or business designed in this way. The traditional carved The traditional all-granite Ankar Dhruvan temple we are building here in Hawaii follows the guidelines of Vastu as interpreted by Dr. V. Ganapati Stapati. Regarding Vastu remodeling, he observes, modifications of a building lead to a disturbance of energy inside the enclosed space. Hence, the Shastras do not recommend any post-construction alterations. As our modern age has created a lifestyle crisis, interesting way of describing it, many architects and designers are now turning to the ancient traditions of Vastu for inspiration. Sadly, this has led to a lot of exploitation and misinterpretation. Common sense tells us that there are many causes for not being successful. In my experience, the most common one is, what do you think I'll say? Lack of proper planning. So, purpose, plan, persistence, and push. And I will not try and pronounce his name. I don't do it justice. French author and aviator stated, a goal without a plan is just a wish. And that's the last of our tools for success. Let's summarize what we covered. So we'll give a question before we give the answer. What is included in the concept of true success? It's about 6 or 7 points. True success includes making achievements on all 4 goals of life: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. That is moksha in the sense of the journey towards moksha, said another way, seriously striving to make spiritual progress. Generously share their wealth with others. In touch with their inner happiness, sahajananda. Covered 6 tools for success. What were they? Ways to achieve enduring happiness, sahajananda. Meditation, devotion, selfless service. Use of affirmations. Temple worship. Giving. Learning from mistakes. And today's was steadfastness or perseverance, persistence. One of Gurudeva's messages on the 2001 Northern Europe and Russia Inner Search was about tools. The kinds of tools he was talking about weren't carpentry tools or software tools or plumbing tools or gardening tools. They were spiritual tools. He was talking about spiritual tools that he had given us. The phrase he used was, I've given you all these tools. You can either put them to use in your life or hang them on the wall. The choice is yours. In Gurudeva's spirit of using the tools, the idea is we don't necessarily need to learn something new to make additional spiritual progress. We don't have to necessarily acquire a new tool, learn a new technique. We can make additional progress just by utilizing more of the tools we have already been given, applying them more to our life, applying them in a new way to our life. So that's the end of true success. Character building. And we're up to obedience. 37th character, quality. How would you define obedience? The workbook gives this definition. Obedience means quickly, cheerfully, and accurately carrying out instructions. I Cultivate it by controlling any tendency to resist directions or do things differently than asked. The opposite is resistance. Some people, their nature is so strong that they can't do something the way someone else asks them to do it. They always have to change it. For a good reason, of course. Discipline and obedience. Nothing was ever accomplished on this earth without these two qualities. Be self-disciplined, cultivate self-control, obey your gurus, obey your mothers, obey your fathers, obey your elders, obey your Saivite teachers. Obey your guru, obey your guru. Shiva's devotees obey their Satguru, carrying out his directions, expressed or implied, with intelligent cooperation without delay. Intelligent cooperation means questions can be asked, if really appropriate, to clarify the instructions, and don't delay in making it happen. Scriptures say a guru must be carefully chosen, and when one is found, to follow him with all your heart, to obey and fulfill his every instruction better than he would have expected you to, and most importantly, even better than you would have expected of yourself. So that's that same idea we had in the last presentation. Do it even better than expected. Take a moment to identify a few ways in which you could improve in obedience. Sorry, I hit the button there too soon. And Yogaswami, words of our master, pointing to his body. This is Nallur. So Nallur is the major Murugan temple in Jaffna, Sri Lanka. The body is Nallur. What does that mean to you? I thought we have three kinds of temples: the village temple, the home shrine, and the temple of the body, or Atma Mandir. Atma Mandir is the most advanced place to find God. So that's the Yoga Pada of Saiva Siddhanta, when we are worshipping in the Atma Mandir. The book is within you. Turn over the leaves and study. What does that mean to you? My thought, the study of books is inferior to studying the knowledge that comes from our intuition. So it doesn't mean we shouldn't study books, but at a certain point, we've learned what the books have to offer, and we need to turn to the book that's within us. Study the knowledge that comes from our own intuition. Even in small things, you must act with care and see everything in relation to everything else. What does that mean to you? My thought, this is another way of stating the idea of being mindful in even the simplest of tasks, such as sweeping the floor. Every task we do is an opportunity to strengthen our concentration and willpower, per Gurudeva's statement. So even in the smallest thing, Don't want to just reserve it for the large ones. So thank you very much. Oh.